As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Air. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They're the Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks of Hobbs. American public, you are worthless.
Can't account for taste.
Nice. Your teaser from earlier on the loose adaptation.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Shove that Pulitzer Prize square up your ass.
I'm so happy.
I'm as best as you're going to get, ladies, so here you go. We have... Shut up!
Then it's not a porn! Masturbatory bullshit. I get the joke now.
Hey,
Stupid,
kids,
wonderful thing. Yeah.
Here's some stickers.
Are you in the crosshairs of the woke mob?
To the bridge of cosmic doom.
What is happening in my mouth?
Pumpkin spice lattes. I was the mark. You were the mark, man.
Yay. You want to get high together? You want to drink?
Son of a...
Subterfuge, machinations.
Wow.
Wow, wow,
Wow. Wow.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're like a...
I'm so annoyed. All right, well, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you from just outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have just watched and recorded our episode on Dances with Wolves, and as usual, we sit down and discuss another film over another beer, so we refer to these as our happy hour episodes.
Hey, you guys, happy hour is from 4 to 6.
On this happy hour, we will be finishing our look back to the films of, or a couple films of 1990, and covering the Martin Scorsese mafia classic, Goodfellas. Oh, every time we record here, the dog is like,
I want to be a part of it, please.
All right, Goodfellas is the mostly true story of Henry Hill, a boy who decides early in life that he wants to be a wise guy and be a part of the New York mob world. We follow him as he grows up in that world, gains trust, finds love multiple times, and also finds that the mafia world is amazing until it isn't. The film is directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Marty and Nicholas Pileggi, and stars Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Lorraine Bracco, Paul Sorvino, and basically everyone you have seen in a small role in every mafia movie or television show since.
Hey, I wish I was big just once. You're a big cop.
Really funny. Really funny.
What do you mean I'm funny?
It's funny, you know. It's a good story. It's funny. You're a funny guy.
What do you mean? You mean the way I talk? What?
It's just, you know, you're just funny. It's funny, you know, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how? I mean, what's funny about it?
Yeah, Tommy, no, you got it all wrong.
Oh, Anthony. He's a big boy. He knows what he said. What'd you say?
You're right.
Funny how? What?
Just, you know, you're funny.
You mean,
So?
well, let me understand this, because maybe it's me, I'm a little fucked up, maybe. But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
I'm not just, you know how you tell the story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Get the fuck out of here, Tommy.
You motherfucker. I almost had him.
Come on, not my beer.
With our reactions and verdicts to the movie out of the way, we move on to the reactions to our beers that we drank while rewatching our subject movie.
And if you want to have sex with a disgusting bad brewer with a terrible attitude,
this is where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings for our drinking buddies.
ugh, whatever. Hey, here's the truth.
This is Drinking Buddies.
Let's get weird.
All right, so somehow we have never had a beer from Bald Man Brewing Company in Eagan, Minnesota.
True. Yeah.
You know, and not to say like, oh my God, you have to have Bald Man, but
Sure.
like we try and focus on local beers. and we've had like 500 of them, and none of them have been Baldman Brewing. So, again, not an amazing local spot, but still a local brewery we've not covered. The first beer I had was the Tupelo Honey Brown Ale. Not the best representation for local beer, I will say. It's not awful, but it's not like, it's a bad balance for me.
It sounds weird.
Have you ever had it?
No.
It's good, but it's not like, I need either more sweetness or honey or more brown. Like, the balance isn't there.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's actually one of their staples. They've been selling it for years. But anyway, I had a 3.5 out of 5 on that one. And then again, kind of somehow we hadn't had this, but we've had other iterations of it. Dogfish Head Brewing Company, out of whatever, Delaware. Their 60-minute IPA. We've had 90, we've had 120, we've had but we haven't had their 60-minute, their flagship IPA. Seriously a delicious option that I'm surprised we haven't had. I have 4.25 out of 5. It's in the fridge over there. Like, I've had a couple tonight. Like, it is a good, solid, really crushable IPA.
Nice.
Yep.
It's good. I had, and kind of, leaning into the recent cold spell, Summit had
kind of cold spell. Come on now.
I mean, it was like, you're in Minnesota when one week it's like school's canceled because it's so cold.
Fair.
The next week it's like get all the stuff off the lakes. So I had Summits brewing out of St. Paul. They're Great Northern Porter.
Mm-hmm.
And just a nice option.
Yeah.
Their kind of winter pack is, Summit's not great, but not bad. They're just solid.
Yep.
It's a 3.75 for me. I like it and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then in that pack, like many things, they kind of have these rotating options with their oatmeal stout and that kind of thing.
Yep.
They have their Summer Brewing Busy, which is a Minneapolis cold brew company.
Mm-hmm.
Busy Cold Brew Coffee Blonde Ale.
Okay.
Which is, again, is quite often much of the rage for many breweries of having like a coffee blonde ale. Just fine. It was actually kind of disappointing. I was expecting, like, it smelled really great. Really great smell.
Yeah.
And then you drank it and you're like, yeah, it's just like a hint of it with more of a blonde ale. So kind of you talk about like where like the honey brown from Baldman.
It needs
it's
something
a weird thing
different
together. It just didn't quite work out. And I think Modest has probably one of the best of their coffee blondes. But
yes. Yeah, that's really good.
Summit, disappointing. So 3.5.
Excuse me.
And then tonight, speaking of coffee, 56 Brewing out of Minneapolis. I honestly was looking at the liquor store today. I'm like, what's different? I'll try this.
Yeah.
It's a special release. Ooh, they're a Cafe Nocturnal coffee stout, which I like. They brew it with, apparently it's a coffee company called Minimum Wage Tim. I was like, that's me.
Fiend beer.
I have a 4 for me. It's a really nice smell.
Yeah.
It's solid. Like, I don't know that I think it stands out, but it's a great style for the style. So
I'm a little under yours, and I'm over 3.75. I almost kind of feel like the coffee's a little old. Like, it's got kind of like that.
Tim.
I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's 56 is good, and shout out to Mike and the crew over there. But like, I don't know. It's got like a muted sort of back end flavor to me. That I'm kind of that's fine. Again, it's still good though.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
it's tasty.
Yeah, I'm at 3.75 though.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
This is a social network
You don't have to be an intellectual property expert to understand the difference between right and wrong.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 2 decades ago.
Mark!
As usual, Tim takes point on this, so take it away, Tim.
You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything. $1 billion.
The IMDb rating is 8.7 out of 10. One of the highest we've had on the show. Very, very high.
Wow.
Yeah, 8.7.
Wow.
Right?
Huh.
Hugo Davenport. Great name. I did not make it up. I guess I probably could have, but
I feel like that's like a Muppet reviewer, like on the Muppets. They would just be like, and here's Hugo Davenport.
I'm Hubert Gummer of the Daily Telegraph. The Daily Telegraph said, like any decent anthropologist, Scorsese does not impose judgments. The casual amorality of the wise guys may be disturbing, but the director's skill is to demonstrate convincingly the heady attractions of a life where money is everything. Michael Price of the Fort Worth Star said, the film provides a sobering breath of raw antiseptic to a mass audience intoxicated with legends of the mafia. However, after a compelling buildup of almost 80 minutes, Goodfellas lapses into a numbingly repetitive state for the final hour.
Yeah, that's okay. All right.
Roger Ebert, no surprise, 4 out of 4.
4, yeah.
Said Scorsese is the right director, the only director for this material. He knows it inside out. The method of the movie is a slow expansion through levels of the mafia, following characters through 30 years. At first through years of unchallenged power, then through years of decline, and then into betrayal and decay. No finer film has ever been made about organized crime.
Jesus. I'm surprised he could get that typed out with Scorsese's dick.
He's like, oh, right there.
Yeah,
I guess they're friends in real life, or they were before he died.
Yeah, special friends. Special friends.
I'm gonna be your good fellow.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that year, for Academy Awards, up for 6 nominations, but just 1 win. It was up for Best Editing, Adapted Screenplay, Supporting Actress, Director, and Picture were the 5 nominations. And then Best Supporting Actor that year went to Joe Pesci for the film.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Really? We begin our discussion with our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
This is Boston, and the church does not want them to be found. So, they are not there.
This is where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching our subject film.
We've got 2 stories here. We've got a story about degenerate clergy, and we've got a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know.
Maybe they do.
This is Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
I struggle a little bit where to start with this movie, to be honest with you. Because I have like a love... I don't hate this movie in any way, but I have like a love-mid relationship with this movie.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And you wouldn't think it, but...
I'm surprised, actually.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to let you start then.
So I had never seen this until like a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
I think it was like during lockdown.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, I'll start looking through like movies I've never gotten around to kind of thing. And this is one that I just never got to when we were growing up. Clearly, when it came out, we're going to go see Dancing with Wolves in the theater. We're not going to go see Goodfellas.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I mean,
so it's like, I just kind of never got around to it. And then it became a thing of, well, it can't really be that great. And there was always that idea of like, oh, it should have been Dancing with Wolves, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't see it until the like pandemic lockdown. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely one where I was like, okay, I can appreciate the reverence, the style. And I've got some more thoughts around like, more depth, but watching again this week, I can understand why it was so appreciated.
Totally. 100%.
I have like a very clinical, like, I can see why it was loved. I don't know that I find it compelling. Some things I do, but overall, it's just a fine movie for me.
Yeah. I'll get a little bit of ratings. Like, I think my first sort of like thought is that every time I watch this movie, the first 30 minutes are like just classic.
Yes.
It's classic.
Right?
It's totally what modern cliches of mafia are based off of.
Yes.
Now. Like, it's one of the best. It's not an opening line technically, but it's just absolutely one of the best early lines in a movie of the gangster. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Like, which started the episode today. Like, it is everything that you want. I feel like this movie is exactly what you want it to be, but for me, it doesn't deliver in the end. Not to say it's bad or anything like that, but I always, every time I start this movie, I'm like, oh, I'm enthralled in that first sort of the technique behind it is clearly top notch. It's everything, but it feels cliche, except that it started the cliche.
Yes.
So I mean,
exactly.
I can't punish it by any means for that. So yeah, I actually don't have a ton of notes necessarily, because I've seen this enough times now to kind of.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, like with Dances with Wolves, I've seen it like a dozen times, and this I've probably seen the same, so I can kind of like go off of whatever. But that's just my first sort of initial. Every time I watch it, it's classic. It is classic, and it deserves to be a classic.
Yeah.
But so next, what do you got?
It's 35 years later that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So yes, the irony of this film is that if you watch it later after it came out, it feels incredibly derivative.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I've seen that, because we don't quite realize. Yeah, it was the foundation,
right? Yeah,
for so many of these things.
Yep.
And so it got an incredibly typical structure.
Yes.
Of here's an unlikely origin story. I mean, we watched Blow in one of the first years of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's that's oddly enough with Ray Liotta, beat for beat type of feeling of, oh yeah, it's really? An unlikely origin story. There's an immersion in some, nascent organized crime activities, up and coming, figuring it out. This individual shows a knack for the trade.
Yeah.
They reach the heights of that lifestyle, the decadence. And then as it all then starts to fall away.
Yeah.
And so it is funny watching this where, it feels like one of the films that is the imprint of all the ones that would come in thereafter that would be kind of referencing it. And yet watching it now, it is such a weird thing to be I have to kind of have this separation.
Right.
It just feels like it's a rinse and repeat replica of things I've seen before. But no, it was one of the first for this. So it's a challenge of getting into it now versus 35 years ago, we never would have had a chance to watch it.
Yeah. I feel like there's a part of me that feels like hating on this movie kind of turns into your film bro card. You're not allowed to be a film bro if you don't like Fight Club and this and
the poster of this on the wall in college,
or whatever it is. And I think my
movie, bro.
My criticism, it's so hard to say even criticism. My feeling on this movie is every time I watch it, at no point do I give two fucks what happens to anybody in this movie.
True.
There is no emotional connection whatsoever.
Totally. Yes.
And on one level, like we talked about Dance with Wolves, it's very clinical. It's very this is what happened. This is very, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. That's nice. But I also kind of want to give a damn. I don't care what happens to Lorraine Bracco. I don't care what happens to the kids. I don't care what happens to Tommy. I don't care what happens to anybody in this movie.
Correct.
So I'm kind of that's a knock for me. That I need to at least kind of care.
Yes.
Because if I can literally I can watch the first hour and then jump another hour and not feel like I've necessarily missed anything.
Yep.
The second reviewer talked about it a little bit over the first 80 minutes or whatever.
Yep.
I agree. I think once this delves into more of these sort of stereotypical violence and mob and stuff, it loses me.
Yes.
Because it's okay. There's nothing that brings to the table. I'm going to praise this movie in the end, but I'm also just I want to also get it on record that I don't understand the sheer love and
aggrandizement of it.
Sure, that's a word. And it is, I don't understand that. I to the point where it's and you have this a little bit with Godfather. Where you're I'm supposed to like this movie.
This movie sucks.
No, it doesn't. But I'll let people maybe not like Godfather, but Godfather 2, I will fight anybody who doesn't like Godfather 2, which you haven't watched.
I'm confident I've watched,
You just don't
and I
remember.
do not remember it.
But anyway, I just am like that's how I am with Goodfellas. Where it's
Sure.
just kind of like, okay,
like everybody's like, you should like it if you like movies.
I'm supposed
I love
to like this
that.
movie.
The movie
That
card,
should
yeah.
be up on my wall.
Yes.
No, I can't. Yeah.
And to your point, I actually think the starting of it was a bad choice.
With the trunk?
Like, yes.
Yeah, I agree. It makes no sense.
It shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
of all. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I can't stand movies where there's trailers. Like, I'm not wandering into some random movie.
Yeah.
Oh, what's this thing about? Like Goodfellas, and I see the poster or the trailer. I know what I'm getting
And
into.
Scorsese. Yeah.
Sure. I'm not sitting there being like, oh, I thought Dancing with Wolves was going to be this. Like, I know what I'm like.
Right.
I'm paying money for a product, basically.
Yeah.
Some movies, I don't mind a hook where I'm like, oh, okay, it doesn't work for this. I actually agree with you. I would love this more if it was like the opening line of
And then it's him as a kid.
Yes.
I don't need anything to do with a car.
Yeah.
None of that. That could be gone.
Exactly.
It does nothing, because I get it on one sense of saying that moment is what basically leads to Tommy's death later and like the end of their whatever.
Yeah.
I get it.
Sure.
But it doesn't do anything in terms of, it should have just been blank screen as far back as I can remember. I want to be a gangster. And it shows him in the window staring down at the taxi cab.
Yeah.
Or the taxi stand. Like,
it would have been great.
You don't need the first part of that.
Because the first half hour is a very, very solid, building the world. And I remember when I first saw it, and again this week, I remember like what stands out to me is I love the choice of it's a voiceover narration.
Oh, it works. It works in this movie.
It works,
Yeah.
and then half an hour in,
It shifts.
kicks in.
That's what works so well.
I was like, I remember the first time being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can think much of a movie that has dual narration.
Not in the way they do it here.
Correct.
If they do it, it's like early on, it goes back and forth or whatever.
Yes.
This is like, you're a half hour in, and all of a sudden Lorraine Bracco's in, and now she gets her narration.
And I guess Luke Who's Talking too has it both, but whatever. Yes. So, but I think, yes, it's incredibly rare.
It's
but I was
rare
like,
you get me to laugh, but well done.
yes. I was like, wow, they're going to have her give her insights into it.
Yeah, it gives you, and
Yes.
now
Now
you
I'm
do
hooked.
understand. I'm hooked, and I want to know what happens more here. But
Yes.
then it turns into just another drug fueled
Exactly.
whatever. I mean,
And
which
the
is
next
probably
half
the
hour,
truth of real life, but
True.
still,
but again, the next half hour, yes, I agree. Like it's these weird segments where the first half hour is great. The next half hour where it's still building and like being intriguing, and then, but it kind of has to have from like a cautionary tale perspective. I get it. It totally, the last hour is just like I couldn't care less.
yeah.
I'm just bored. Not bored. I just have no investment.
No,
You're right.
yeah. At no point was I bored in the movie.
True,
I
yeah.
mean, I am not bored, but I'm also not interested.
Correct.
You can be in between.
Yes. And the reviewer that mentioned, Scorsese being an anthropologist stood out to me in terms of like, Scorsese is a pretty unsentimental filmmaker. In as much as he does not do a lot to manipulate the audience. For the most part.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like it's very this is a story. And what's great about that is it's very sterile, judgment free. But again, from a clinical standpoint, I lose investment. I don't care.
Yeah.
It just tells a great story about the bad guys. Okay, cool. But I'm not that invested.
Right.
Even his later film, Shutter Island,
dude,
is a great one.
It's good.
But it's a great story. But even then, like the ending is just like so muted because it's like, well, I'm not that invested in this type
that's a
of thing.
film bro movie too, where you're like, you gotta love Shutter Island and the ending. No, I respect the ending, but I didn't give a shit.
Yes.
Gangs in New York, we talked about those. I
Totally.
didn't give a shit.
Exactly.
Departed, I don't give a shit about everybody.
No.
So if you're going to take a
Departed, don't at
clinical approach at things, that's good on one level, but it doesn't get me to give two shits about your characters.
Exactly. So I absolutely, this movie is a perfect example of appreciating the execution and having no investment. It's kind of like Dunkirk in some ways.
I agree.
For Nolan, where it's like, wow,
Yeah.
I can appreciate what you're doing, and I don't care.
No.
I'm just like, cool.
No.
Beat by beat, what's next? Fine.
Yeah. I have a hot take on Dunkirk. That's another day.
So I agree, but what stood out to me was the voiceover narration. Half an hour in, her perspective. I was like, all right, now I'm in.
So one thing I will say is you mentioned about the the creation of this and the sort of the whole film production of it. I think,
the execution of it.
This movie has, to this day and probably to the day I die, a top 3 oneer.
Oh, sure.
When he starts in the street at the car.
Yep.
And it goes to the kitchen and it goes through everything and it ends up with him sitting in a chair that didn't exist before, and then they're listening to the song like
with a
it's
room
a
full of people.
Yes, it's
tons
of
of
3.5 minute oneer where if anything goes wrong, you have to go back to the beginning. There are like 1917, and there are other things that are, and there's a new movie coming out later this year about the Iraq War, I think, with I'm suddenly blanking. Will Poulter and a couple other people, and it's told. Alex Garland is the director.
Really?
And he's a co-director, I guess, with another guy who's an Iraq War veteran.
Okay.
And it's told in 95-minute real time.
That's pretty cool.
Right? So it's like 24 and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I respect those sort of like kitschy one-off or oneer movies or whatever. But this is like, anytime that happens, one thing goes wrong, you got to reset to 1.
Yep.
Right? And that shot, and it's what's so interesting about it to me is that is an irrelevant shot to the movie.
Totally.
It's just like, look what we can do. Look what we can do. Here's the craft. This is just a guy bringing a girl on the first date to impress her at the Copacabana, and that's what you get. It does not do anything to advance the story.
Oh, see, I took it from like
in terms of, I'm just saying, like, it shows the impressiveness of him.
Sure.
But it doesn't really, like, in the long run, like, that's the one you decide to have a oneer?
I agree in many ways, but I actually saw it through the lens of the audience is being impressed by this. And
like she is?
And it's a proxy for her.
Sure.
Of like, I'm just along for the ride, and holy cow, I'm experiencing this new thing with this guy.
Yeah, who's in construction.
Who's exactly able to bring me in and just get past all these things. And I agree, the editing wouldn't have worked if like a quick like cut scenes or whatever.
Yeah.
So I agree, it's like top 3 oneer in terms of execution and just wow. I don't think it's that amazing for like the overall experience, but I do see the need for it in some ways. And the other thing, similarly, the oneer that works the room and they introduce everybody. Yeah. Is it like Paulie and Pete? And and Frankie 2 times and whatever. And you don't have to know everybody in there, but it's a really interesting like. And then later, Paulie is introducing Lorraine Bracco to everybody at the wedding. You know, they're all versions of the same thing. So it is a really well done. It's a well crafted everything about it. Yep. Oh man, I'm going to talk about those for Sizzy in a little bit. So continue on. Do you think the modern term of Karen came from this movie?
I don't, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, right. So for some reason, hit me this week. It's like, oh, what a fucking Karen she is. Oh yeah, that works for her name. But yeah, and to her credit, she actually is really. I think Lauren Bracco is really good.
She's great in this movie.
She's
great as a girl who literally just showed up for a blind date to help out her friend.
Yes,
to turn into what happened there. Like, I mean,
and she does a great job of like showing the connection to. She's aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
And now this is what the mafia is like, and we're all together, and like we only hang out with each other. but I like that it humanizes her in some ways where it's like, yeah, I was okay with it. I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, it's rare the guy brings a gun to some place and beats the shit out of some guy, but I
love that scene, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes where he just turns around and Ray Liotta, who would scare the poop out of me if I ever met him in real life when he was alive.
Yes.
And he just goes over and casually just beats the piss out of this guy with his gun.
A little handgun.
Oh, man, I love that scene.
Can we just appreciate the year for Joe Pesci?
Yeah.
I mean...
You got was it Home Alone that year too?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Home Alone. So he wins the Oscar for this, where I actually find him insufferable in this movie.
But that's what he's supposed to be.
Exactly. Like, to his credit,
yeah,
he's so annoying.
Yes.
And I cannot stand him.
Yes.
And so, yes, when he's so awful and, like, turns on a dime on the stupidest shit and then kills people. And also, when he dies, I'm like, thank God. Awesome. So happy you died.
Yeah.
Because you're a piece of shit.
It's a great death scene.
Actually, yeah. You're like, I'm being made.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like, did not see it coming the first time. I was like, oh, now that's what we're talking about. And then, yes, same year, gets just his ass handed to him by a kid in Home Alone. And so, I love that year. But he definitely, in my view, like, deserved the Oscar because of just how great he was in this
we
role.
love Graham Greene. We talked about it last episode. Yep. But
Pesci, man. And I find De Niro... I would say I remember seeing Taxi Driver and Raging Bull long ago. He's great. He's just fine in this.
In this, yeah, he is.
He's great in other things.
Yeah.
But he's just like Tommy, like, or Jimmy is like, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. De Niro, for me, had this, like, Pacino had this too, that they had this maybe 15 to 20 year span where they were just playing themselves.
Yeah, version of themselves.
Like everything from Heat on, I feel like it was like, you're just kind of just playing a version of yourself.
True.
And then more recently, especially De Niro, because De Niro was fucking incredible in Silver Linings Playbook. He was really good in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
Like, he's really kind of come on later on. And Pacino was outstanding in the, what's the Amazon,
the Killers? No. The one where they're like the Hunters.
The Hunters.
Yes.
He was outstanding in that.
So good, yes.
So you kind of go like later, there's this gap. But yeah, De Niro in this is like, okay.
You're just like, oh, you're De Niro.
Yeah. At no point am I, no. You bring nothing to the table here for me.
Exactly.
Who does bring something to the table for me, though, is Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
He's outstanding in this.
Yes.
I mean, Ray Liotta is good in everything, and we talked about him in Blow, who's outstanding in that movie.
He's so heartbreaking
but
as the dad.
He is really... I'm not saying he should have been nominated for Best Actor or anything like that, because there's really good other actors out there, the Jeremy Irons and Kevin Costner and... I can't remember who
was
won.
like
Jeremy Irons won that year for
I looked like Gerard Depardieu was up.
Yeah, okay, I would have given it over him.
Like Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah, Cyrano. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, I mean,
okay, sure, but he's really good in this.
Yes,
and kind of an unknown, except for Field of Dreams at the time. Like
True.
You just go really, really good. He drives this entire movie. He's in like every scene.
Yeah,
I feel like, and so. He's outstanding. I agree on Joe Pesci. He probably should have won. He's super annoying.
Yeah.
I want to also say to you, about halfway through the movie, I looked at him and I could not stop thinking of Donald Trump.
Sure.
When he was talking. And like that sort of, it doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm going to be like, I'm not even hearing you right now. And when he was talking about what he could do to people, and what I was just like, oh my God, this is just like textbook narcissism, right? It was just, I think my note says, Tommy is Donald Trump and as a mobster, and I can't unsee it.
It's just like,
he's a piece of shit.
He's awful.
Yeah, which actually makes you kind of go, you deserve it more because you did it so well.
Yes, exactly. Like you're just insufferable, and you're okay with it. And I think to that end, while we talked about the beginning or the scene from the beginning, it undermines the impact later to me Because once you see and figure out, oh, the guy they're beating up is the guy they kill at the beginning.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Well, okay, fine. As opposed to, it could turn the weight of the movie.
Yeah.
If you're just like, oh, I'm a gangster, I'm working through this, and then Tommy and Jimmy, in their frustration, start beating the shit out of this guy, and then, oh, it goes sideways, and now we got to kill this guy, and this guy's a made guy.
Yeah.
Now it feels like, oh, as opposed to I'm waiting an hour for the storyline to kind of come back to that.
Yeah.
So I don't like the attention grabbing to that end.
It's not necessary.
No.
In a Scorsese film, you don't need to.
No.
At that point, even he had been well respected. At that point. You didn't need to grab the audience.
No.
So, have you ever seen A Bronx Tale?
I have not.
That's a movie that I would add to your list. Not saying we're going to put it on a 40-year-old virgin necessarily, but that is...
Is that De Niro?
De Niro's the father, but it's Chaz Palminteri. Chaz Palminteri.
There you go.
And it's Chaz's sort of story of his childhood as a sort of like wannabe sort of gangster. And what I always felt like, if you could merge those two movies, Bronx Tale's biggest problem is the kid is not a great actor. Okay. We talked about with Billy Elliot. I would recommend the movie to everybody. Oh, I actually would recommend that over Goodfellas because I actually give a shit about the characters in that.
Sure. And
Palminteri is kind of like the Paulie character, but more outgoing. And he's this father figure, or this sort of, and the reason I bring that up is talking about the first half of this. It's very Bronx Tale. It's very much like the kid who gets into the world and is sort of brought up into it, and then there's things that happen that do they stay in that world or do they leave? And Chaz left, right? I mean, like he obviously left that world to become an actor. So I look at Goodfellas like it feels like they just made a conscious decision at the beginning with that opening scene throughout to just be like, let's just be aggressively violent.
Yeah. It definitely feels like that.
And it's just like it just isn't necessary. And I respect Scorsese's decisions on that, but I also think it's a detriment to the films.
Yeah.
Because the moment every time I have this with aggressive physical violence, war violence and things like that, it's a little different because that's very like that's very like outside of our realm of understanding.
Sure.
But me beating the shit out of somebody in the driveway, I can wrap my head around that because I've wanted to do that in my life, right? So, and whenever Scorsese films go that route, I feel like you just disconnect with your audience.
Sure.
Because I want to do that, but I don't because I'm a human being. And so I just sort of like stop there. And that's where, like, for me, Bronx Tale is a better version of this. And I wish I could kind of merge them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I think, I don't mind the violence per se.
No. Oh, no. We've watched Tarantino films on this.
Yeah.
We've watched, at no point do I give a shit about violence. But it does, in this case, disconnect me.
And it does feel at times rather gratuitous.
Oh, yeah. When he just like stabs the dude in the trunk.
Yeah.
You're about to bury him. And then
exactly.
De Niro shoots him 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
It is like, I think of also Gangs of New York.
Oof.
Some of that.
Woof.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it doesn't have to be over the top like this.
Right.
And so the style that I can appreciate what Scorsese goes for, sometimes it works. And sometimes it's just like, I'm not feeling it, or it's excessive. To the point where I made a note here, like, definitely this movie is like 20 minutes too long for me.
Sure. Yeah.
At about the 2-hour mark, I'm done. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
that's about when he starts seeing, that's that last day.
Well, it's like just after he kind of gets pinched and he's come home and she flushed the cocaine.
Yeah.
And he's trying to, like, we got this money, we can get out. And like, she's like wailing in the corner and he's having a freak. I'm like, this is so overly dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I saw better acting in Scarface. Like this is insane to me.
Yeah,
right.
I was just saying something.
It's just like so over the top. And no disrespect to like or criticism. Like
I think it's probably more material related than performance related.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. They're doing what they can with what's on the page.
Like this drama and that kind of thing. I definitely feel like.
Of course, they flushed it down the toilet. That's what I'd be like. What would you want me to? They never would have found it. You put it in the kitchen cupboard, you idiot.
Exactly. Behind a TV.
Yeah, he's looking behind a TV.
Wow.
This is how stoned you were.
Yes. And so the tension between them just fizzles in many ways. But I feel like if they could, again, cut the opening sequence, some of the sequences throughout and the violence and everything, like you can tighten it up.
Yeah.
You could absolutely cut about 20 minutes off this thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like have a 2 hour, because almost 2.5 feels like you're striving for like, it's an epic saga.
Yeah.
A crime drama. If you tighten it up 2 hours, it just hits in a different way. So yes, Oscar-winning Scorsese, if you're listening, let me give you a bit of feedback 35 years after the fact. But no, I just think it could be tightened and it makes it much better.
Yeah. I think I only have really one more.
That's what I got. Shorten it up, Martin. Come on.
I do think this probably means, and I don't have much of a film bro card in the first place, but I don't know what it is, man. Scorsese just doesn't do it for me. Like,
sure.
I don't know if that's a hot take or anything like that.
Yeah.
I have immense respect for what he puts on film.
Correct.
Like, I don't think Departed was the best picture that year. In fact, I think he should have won for Aviator. I do love the Aviator. I love that movie. I like Hugo. Hugo is one of my favorite Scorsese films. Like, I really love that movie. You haven't seen it?
Never seen it.
Outstanding movie.
Sure.
Like, what he puts on film is something impressive. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Shutter Island, the twist blew me away, sure. But then I rewatched the movie, and a good twist movie needs to outlast the twist.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense, we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And Shutter Island doesn't outlast the twist.
No.
And more recently, Killers of the Flower Moon was disappointing. I really was disappointed with that movie.
Yes.
Gangs of New York, we talked about. And then, what was right before Killers of the Flower Moon? I'm gonna look, because it's Scorsese has the distinction of being, I think, the only person to ever have 3 films nominated for 10 Oscars or more.
Oh,
and
Irishman.
to get skunked. The Irishman.
Yes.
The Irishman is a well-crafted film.
Well-crafted.
And I'm bored the entire way through.
It only works at the end, to me, in terms of like the digital de-aging and stuff, where it's like you need to experience the lifetime weight of these characters. Right. But I agree.
It's so
holy God.
Right.
It's a slog.
And also, just side note, Marty, don't shit on streamers and then take their money.
Exactly.
Like, don't do that.
Or like bitch about Marvel. Shut up.
Right. But I just don't know what it is. Like, Scorsese, nothing but respect. I watch Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I've seen probably 90% of his filmography, and all of it I respect completely.
Yeah.
And none of it, with a couple exceptions like The Aviator and Hugo and a couple others, am I like, oh my God, I will defend that movie till the day I die.
Yeah.
Departed shouldn't have won Best Picture. Like, I just...
No. It was a gimme.
I don't know. I look at this and I go, well crafted, was really enjoyable in terms of like, but I'm not going to seek it out.
Because I remember when I was okay, I should watch this when I first did. And the, legacy or impression that was always out there was like, this should have beaten.
I agree.
Dancing with Wolves.
Yeah. And for a long time, I thought it should have.
And I was
in
like,
my brain, I was like,
well, I can't imagine it. But so I was almost like, I don't want to watch it because I have such a reverence for that movie. And I remember watching me like, who thought this was somehow more epic and wonderful than Dances with Wolves? I was like, I think you're just, again, from like that bro card type of like movie things. Like, this is not the
I do think
best
like
picture.
it was it was very unique in terms of the storytelling. Again, it's created the genre
Sure.
that has come since. So we look at it in the past, whereas they were experiencing it in like the
First
moment
time,
of
yes.
saying, you know, so I do get that. But I looked at it too, and I was like, you know what? I like Awakenings better than this. I like Ghost better than this. Like,
Totally.
I mean, Godfather Part 3, no. But although Godfather, whatever. The Godfather Part 3 that they redid a few years ago was outstanding.
Yeah. Ghost is way better than this.
Right. So I'm like, because it taps into emotion.
Yes.
You could have done a little bit more to tap into some emotion.
Yes.
So I think it just doesn't do it for me. So I guess I, turn in the Philbro card, I guess. But whatever. You got anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide.
As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after rewatching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades.
Now you get out of here before I call a bailiff and have you thrown in jail.
This is The Verdict.
I said to hell with it, to hell with it.
All right. So for me, Goodfellas is a movie that over the years has gotten almost cult-like love from far too many people. I very much enjoy and respect this movie, but I simply cannot get to loving it or even ranking it over other mob classics like The Godfather 1 and 2, sorry, Tim, or Heat.
Sure.
Not to crap on the film, because it is about as well crafted as you can get on film, as you would expect from Scorsese, and in all aspects of the film succeeds in what it sets out to do, except getting me to care. Overall, I think this is a great film, but not an all-timer, and certainly not something I need to rewatch regularly. That being said, I still have 4 out of 5.
At the heart of the film is a cautionary tale about one man grappling with his fantasy gangster life coming apart, only to end up being stuck with us schmucks, a common riffraff. Goodfellas is a watershed film, yet, oddly enough, watching it these 35 years later somehow feels like you've seen it all before.
Yeah.
With confident and typical, patient direction from Scorsese, coupled with some decent work, especially by the main 2 cast members, it's clearly highly regarded as an American classic, even if at times I find it rather sterile and just completely emotionally stilted. You're exactly right. Never feel invested in it. I definitely recommend from a completionist perspective of if you haven't, check it out.
Oh yeah.
But I also could recommend they might want to cut it down by 20 minutes. I had 3.5 out of 5.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to tell somebody watch Scorsese films, I mean, you kind of you got to watch this one.
Yeah,
I mean, you have
exactly.
to. That makes sense.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
I have stood on the shoulders of life, and I've never gotten down into the dirt to build.
Where in our research for our subject film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you.
This is not McCarthyism. You're not here to expose for the sake of exposure.
This is Quiz Show.
Well, evidently certain of the contestants were given the answers in advance.
Cheating on a quiz show. It's like plagiarizing a comic strip.
All right. What do we got here? I have, what do you got, Tim?
I got 3.
Am I proud of my 3? I don't know if I am.
You're
but
hemming and hawing. No, I don't know.
I do have 3. So I will go first.
Cool.
Let's save my best for last. And then you'll probably have it. So at one point, Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco are in the Copacabana and hearing a singer by the name of Bobby Vinton, who sends them a bottle of champagne. They were super happy about Bobby Vinton sending them something,
Yeah.
Vinton would be known for Blue Velvet, Roses Are Red, My Love, which is sung in the film, and Mr. Lonely, which is the
Mr. Lonely.
No, yeah, I'm so lonely. So he's obviously a happy song kind of a guy. But in the film, he is portrayed by what young singer who you do not know?
A young singer.
Yeah, what young singer, actor who may have portrayed him?
I think I recognized him for a second.
I did too, and then I looked him up and I realized it wasn't who I thought it was.
I thought it was Walton Coggins.
Yeah, I was like, oh, something like that.
It looks
Yeah,
like
no.
him. No, I don't know who it is then.
It's Robbie Vinton, his son.
Samsonite.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's his son. So,
Really?
Bobby
His
Vinton's
own son was like,
yeah, because Bobby
hey.
Vinton was 85 at the time, so obviously couldn't play himself.
Yeah.
So they brought him in, and Robbie Vinton has his own recording career, but they brought him in, and that's who it was.
That's
because I
great.
legit looked it up. I wouldn't give two fucks about whoever that was.
No.
But I was like, that looks familiar. Who is that? He looks familiar. And I was like, that ain't anybody I've heard
For the
of.
quick, so I'm like, that
Yeah.
looks like Walton Goggins. Like,
Yeah.
just like singing
No,
like a
there
fake
you
thing.
go.
Huh. Nice. Ray Liotta plays
Yes.
the adult Henry Hill.
Yes.
Like we talked about.
Uh-oh.
And at one point, it's mentioned he was at some scene 21 when he was becoming a prominent member of the mafia world.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, having to cover lots of years of his life.
Yeah.
Care to guess how old Liotta was at the time of the film's release?
Wow. I mean, I guess so. He was
We'll
supposed.
give you
I mean,
a couple years.
Yeah, but I'm working backwards in terms of he just passed away a couple of years ago. And he was 60 something. I'm gonna say he was 32.
36.
Oh, I'll get myself a wrong buzzer
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm all about like you're playing a stretch of a character because you got to cover like 30
Well,
years.
it's like De Niro when he first comes in was supposedly in his 20s
Yeah,
or
I'm like,
whatever. Because they're only again. I
you
mean,
can have
come
a
on.
younger version and then a mid-age and then yes, but whatever.
Nope,
Sure.
you could have done with the freaking Irishman, man.
Yep.
All right, so as mentioned in my first question, Scorsese keeps it in the family with a lot of his casting choices, like Vinton or Marjorie Winkler, who is the wife of producer Irwin Winkler of this movie, and also who won an Oscar for Rocky. She played the wife of Murray, the wig guy.
Sorry.
So
he's gone missing.
Yeah, exactly. He also cast two close-to-home actors as Tommy's parents. Do you know who Scorsese cast as Tommy's parents? The mother who was in the kitchen and the father was just briefly at the wedding.
I have no idea. Is it his own parents?
That is correct.
Yeah,
it is Martin Scorsese's mother and father
That's
who
great.
play,
Like,
and she's
yeah.
actually really well. She's good in that.
I love it. She's
Yeah.
like,
She's got, if I told you about my painting, wonk, here
Yes.
it is.
come in, then we make you like have a quick snack. It's like a full freaking meal at like 2 a.m. I know, it's hilarious. Nice, that's good. So apparently it's the night of covering screenwriters who adapt their own work. Like we did with Dance with Wolves. Screenwriter Nicholas Pileggi was a crime reporter by trade, but adapted his own book with Scorsese into this film, earning him an Oscar nomination for his first screenplay. Pileggi would work with Scorsese again 5 years after this, adapting another of his own books into what crime drama?
Casino.
Nice.
Also, there are some people who prefer Casino over Goodfellas, and I'm starting to be one of them.
I have never seen Casino.
I'm not like I'm not. Oh my god, I love that movie.
Sure.
But like, there's more emotion in that movie than there is in Goodfellas. I will say. Yeah, I don't know. There we go. All right.
Nice work.
Is that your? Did I go first? You remember?
I have one more.
You got one more. All right. We'll see. Maybe we'll cross streams here. Who knows? Did you know that Goodfellas is not the only film to be released in 1990 that was based on the story of Henry Hill?
I did not know that.
Perfect. So, it is not. The film. So, this film was released in 1990, and just a month earlier, the film My Blue Heaven, starring Steve Martin and Rick Moranis, where Steve Martin is a mobster turned informant in a witness protection program, is also based off of the same sessions that screenwriter Nicholas Pileggi had with Henry Hill. That film was written by Pileggi's wife. And can you name the Oscar-nominated writer-director who wrote My Blue Heaven?
His wife.
That's right. She's been nominated for at least 3.
I'll say Catherine Bigelow. No.
No, actually, I mean, at least you got there. Yeah. Nora Ephron.
Oh, shit.
Was the writer of My Blue Heaven. And then she had obviously done.
So, like, they're hanging out at the
then.
dinner table.
Yeah.
And just talking about
and
stuff.
So he's got these sessions with Henry Hill. And, like, so he writes it all up to the.
She's like, all right,
and then she writes a comedy based off of the sort of like post Goodfellas era. And so in the exact same year, about a month or 2 months apart, there are 2 movies released off of Henry Hill. She changed the names of everybody involved.
Sure.
But yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
That's really good. So editor Thelma Schoonmaker.
Editor?
Uh-huh.
Buzzer.
No. Thelma Schoonmaker has a long partnership with Scorsese.
Yes.
She was nominated for the Oscar this year that we're covering with Goodfellas, and would eventually win 3 times for editing films for Scorsese. She holds the record for most editing wins with those 3, and also the most nominations at 9. She has the distinction of being the first documentary editor to be nominated.
Wow.
Right?
We're
I was
all
like,
over the place.
Holy cow. And prior to her like moving into film, she was like a political correspondent. She has a fascinating history. You should actually read it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will be doing
that. The 3 films for Scorsese that she was nominated for, can you name the 1980, the 2004, and 2006 films for which she won Best Editing Oscar?
I mean, okay, well, so The Aviator was 04.
Yep.
Ding.
Nice.
1980?
Yep.
I mean, it's got to be Raging Bull, right?
It is indeed.
And then what was the other year?
2006.
Oh, I mean, Departed. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But she has 9 nominations, a record.
Huh.
And 1 3, also a record for editing.
Huh. See, girls,
you can accomplish anything.
That you could do. You know what I mean? Like, you could do that a man can
shoot
do.
For the stars.
Good for you.
Yes.
And there you go. Emma Schumacher. Emma?
Thelma.
That's what I said. Thelma Schumacher is just proof. There we go.
Yeah, she signed up for a 6-week editing course at some film school. And Scorsese was like grappling with trying to finish like a short
Mean
film.
Streets or something? Yeah.
No, it was like I forget the name of it. It's a weird thing. And yeah, she's like, I'll help out. And then
here we are.
Here we go.
I mean, again, Goodfellas, like if you look at the editing, like she's a quality editor. Like, I mean,
record.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. All right.
Nice.
That's what you had, right?
Yep, that's all I got.
Cool. All right, that brings us to the end of the episode. Be sure to find all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming platforms and stay tuned for our next journey further than 20 years back. Because again, 2005, not great. With our look back 30 years to the films in 1995, starting with Heat and Apollo 13. Find us on the web via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com for more info. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening. Not the best representation for local beer, I will say.
Minimum wage Tim. Modern term of Karen came from this movie.
Of course I flushed it down the toilet.